6:29. What am I supposed to say here?
Calling this meeting to order.
6:29, calling this over. Good catch. All right, so this is the policy and legislation meeting. We do have quorum. Everyone here knows each other. We don't have new business except, this is my phone. New business is not on here, but I do want to highlight for the record that Chantel Jackson, okay. Assemblymember Chantel Jackson. So the committee board has two assembly members, Chantel Jackson and Septimo. She wanted to come and talk to us. Good morning. This is from her legislative director, Natasha Edwards. On behalf of Assembly Jackson, we would love to meet and discuss her legislative priority, as well as a potential letter of support for the Affordable Waste Reduction Act. And we will additionally welcome any discussion regarding any legislative ideas or issues you have as a community board. This act in particular might fall under municipalities and the Environmental Justice Committee, but the district manager did send that to us.
Well, it could probably be a joint meeting.
I was going to ask him to a joint meeting.
Yeah, I did email. So what happened is when Anthony emailed the legislative director, he forgot to add her. So I did email, he forgot to add, he sent it to me and didn't reply to Natasha. It could potentially be a joint meeting. He offered her two options. He offered her our meeting, she's not here, and then offered general board, but then I was talking to Steven, it might have been also offered to environmental justice, municipality, sanitation. So I don't know what the update is. The DM might be coming in late. I can ask for a follow-up, but I just wanted the record to reflect that meeting because the narrow issue of affordable, the waste bill, but I think any other legislative initiative we wanted to discuss would then obviously fall under us. And I usually do author the letters in support in regards to a bill. And so when you guys talk about a joint meeting, that is a great opportunity. And so I don't know what the update is about that, but potentially the legislative director will be here. And when I have more capacity in life, I usually want to talk about bills that we are interested in. And so we'll just say new business, there are letters we have done and authored last year that have not come into fruition. One of them was the hub. That letter was directly sent to Septimo, I believe, but it might have been sent to all of our state legislators. And so following up on old letters could be something that is worth our time, you know what I mean? Like, where is this bill? Where is, because she added legislative ideas. And so whatever day she does come, whether that is her legislative director or herself, we should be ideating on legislative ideas we do want. And so therefore we're talking about the bill she wants us to discuss and ideas we do have. And so the hub is important to me. The reason why that is also an Albany issue is we met with Septimo virtually once. We is the committee last year, and there's a lot of drug treatment centers that are concentrated around the hub. Drug treatment facilities get their money from Albany to the city. Then the city decides where they place them, okay? Now, whose fault is it that we have a high concentration is one thing about placement, but for those that are already there, they have 7 to 10 year lease. We can't just get them to move, okay? And so what I had asked that the state also sends money for the surrounding area. So that means for every drug treatment facility, or mental health facility, we would get an extra $20,000, $30,000 for extra sanitation pickup to help fund response team. Because what we also learned is all the street outreach programs for the hub are paid by the city exclusively. No supplement cash from the state. And so there's so many streams of income. And so the reason we met with Amanda Septimo is Septimo's on Ways and Means, which is a very powerful committee because it decides the money that serves the city. And so the fact that one of our assembly members are on one of the most powerful committees and the hub is technically in her district by like weird lines. That is a letter we sent, and that's a letter we hope to like follow up on. We obviously want additionally no more drug treatment facilities in our district, in the community board district, but we also want more funding for that. And so I wanted to bring that up because if you guys have other policies that we want to discuss with an assembly member or legislative director, those are things we should think about, because one of the goals of this committee would be to meet with all of the legislative directors for every single elected official who represents our district. So we had a meeting with AOC last community board session, for lack of a better term, and we went to her office and she explained to us what committee she sat on in the federal government and what bills goes through her committee. And therefore she told us when we write letters, if those letters still include healthcare, things of that nature, even though her committee's like energy and commerce, but for some odd reason, all of the healthcare bills go through her committee. And so she was saying, even though it is an Albany issue or a city issue, we might want to CC her, because the way federal income works, things touch things, you know? And so I just wanted to make sure that I was downloading information that we had learned last community board session, so we can constantly be building on it and not like reinventing the wheel. Okay, so I don't know where that's happening, so we'll need an update about when our legislative director for Chantel Jackson is coming. And then Stephen, we would ask if we can arrange meetings and invite legislative directors to our meetings on a regular basis. You know, we could, whenever someone's free, you guys know when our meeting is, we would just invite them and we could just ideate with committees they sit on, because I thought last year that was really helpful when I knew who sat on what committee, because that allowed them to have a little bit more influence on things we need. You know, if they're on the committee we need them to be on. And so having them come and tell us what committee they're on, tell us what things go through that committee, I found it very informative and very strategic when trying to advocate for policy. And so I think that should be an ongoing request. Okay, and then sanitation is a big problem, and I know Justin Sanchez sits on sanitation. Investment call. Anyways, new business. That was new business. Okay, old business. We don't need, I know this is my fault, we don't need the Mitchell Town Hall event anymore, because they're back on track. And we're not housing, but we can talk about if we would like to regularly have joint meetings. The reason why is I'm very excited to meet our elected officials and understand what committee they sit on so we can ideate legislation. And I'd love our community board to be very proactive. However, we have NYCHA TAs, and sometimes we know them when something explodes, but should we be knowing them before that? I mean, I feel like that's a housing issue and not a policy issue, but obviously everything overlaps. And so I guess the general question is like, are there people we thought would be useful to meet as a committee? And is NYCHA at all one of them?
We're talking about NYCHA, then we're talking about each development and their TA.
That's what I was thinking about at first.
And of course, Mitchell House came to focus with us because it's our district where that explosion incident happened.
Exactly.
And that's how Mitchell House actually got on the map.
Yes.
With why we are so much going back and forth with them, rightfully so. Okay. However, you're right. Okay, maybe we can get in touch with the TA of Mitchell House and have them give us direct feedback. But it's like you're saying, that situation has been solved.
That situation has been solved. I think it is always best for us to be as proactive as possible. However, we can only take on but so many things, right? And I also want us to be as informative as possible, right? Which is why being the legislative directors and knowing how to best advocate for your, you know, like I shouldn't be the only one who knows what, you know, Amanda's on Ways and Means. I don't know what Chantel's on, you know what I mean? I happen to know what AOC's on, because she told us. I don't know what Richie's on. I know Justin's on sanitation, but I think that information makes us very powerful and strategic. And so that is something our committee works on. in regards to Mitchell made it because of explosion, but should we be proactively advocating for NYCHA? And if so, they need to tell us how they want us to proactively advocate for them. Because we could do that in conjunction with supportive housing, in conjunction within our city and state and federal electeds, because NYCHA hits all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just thinking about like advocacy ideas. And so even though I want to cross out Mitchell, I'm also crossing them out because they have heat. That doesn't mean everything's going well at Mitchell.
Yeah.
Right, there's still.
You know?
So that's what I was gonna say. I think that in terms, so 2 points. To the point about the committees, we can get that information online.
Exactly.
If we make a list of all of the elected officials from local all the way to federal, then we can go online to their websites and then we can make a list. We can make a spreadsheet and share it amongst everyone. And we can see, okay, exactly where they're located, where their office is, contact information, and then all of their committees that they sit on. So then we have an understanding of that. And then 2, in regards to NYCHA and the TA leaders, I think not just this particular committee, but the board, the general board, I think making it a priority to ensure that the invitations are being sent out to the tenant association leaders. Even if that is like a direct phone call, a direct text message. Mitchell has a brand new TA leader, and I haven't seen him here at the general board meeting. And I know that he does want to get civically engaged. And so I think that the first thing is knowing that, like, reassuring them that they have access, 1, and then 2, that they have support with that access.
So I think what we need to go back to, what I hear is that we want to put on the record, Stephen, that we want to make sure we get the following. 1, we want to make sure that the board has the TA presidents of every single NYCHA development, and that we are personally inviting them to 1 general board meeting, of course, and housing committee, and then they can always come to our committee. And we just want to make sure we're doing that. Like, you know how you text all of us committee meeting? We want to make sure that they're getting that same touch. And we know that Mitchell got a new TA. And so we want to make sure that happens.
I have his contact too.
So they're in the loop to make sure that everybody who is trying to be a leader in the community is equipped with the tools. I agree. We could have one of the interns or somebody, Stephen, again. We want a list of all of our elected officials and what committees they sit on.
For our district?
For our district. So
I already had an intern already started on that.
Oh,
I just need them just to add the committee portion of that.
Yeah, okay, good. We think that would be important. That would allow us to prep for whenever they show up, and that would allow us, even if they don't show up, for us to ideate on when we talk about issues, who can be helpful. You know what I mean? When we talk about issues, who can be helpful, who should we be like hounding down because we know that person can be helpful.
May I suggest?
Yes, you may.
That, okay, piggybacking on what you're saying, I agree with that. I think perhaps the housing committee could, because you're right, I would like to, maybe if the board could get a chance to somehow meet the housing presidents of the TAs of NYCHA in our district. Okay, that would be good. And then proceed from there, if necessary, to the general meeting. Okay, but let's see first how the housing committee could, and they can come here to this committee also. Okay, but I would think that would be the good step, because remember, at the general meeting, there is so much going on.
Absolutely.
In those 2 hours, we are like overly filled, and it gets overcrowded. So I would say that the first thing, because I think the purpose of the committees is exactly that, to kind of release somewhat, not release, but kind of, let's first get an angle with them, and even like an introduction. You're right, I would like to know, who is the TA president of especially Mitchell houses? They had that big exposure, that big situation. It is resolved now, but it would be good to meet them and know about that. But I think perhaps as a committee, we could do that directly. And then upon seeing it necessary, if there is a wide issue that I see that many tenants in general are having, that's when I think that should come to the general meeting.
So absolutely, board business happens at committee level. We
Yeah.
just vote on things
Exactly.
at the board. We want to invite them to general board meeting because we do have that public session, you know what I mean? So many things happen between that and people can't go to all that stuff, but board business happens at committee. I see your hand, Stephen.
Yeah, so like basically, it's more so if we invite them to the general board meeting, it's an accessibility thing too, because it can be either, it can be back or forth. It could be that the TA presidents have accessibility to the board through the general board meeting, or residents also have accessibility to the TA presidents because they're on site.
Yeah.
Or at least for that night.
Exactly, but I completely agree that we just want to make sure. So most community boards do not have a policy, legislation, and now immigration committee, right? And so I always tell people, my favorite joke is that I think people on the Upper East Side or Upper West Side drink coffee and then just call their elected officials about all types of things, right? And we tend to complain to each other, but not complain to the people that are elected to work for us. And so carving out on how best to do that. I remember Stephanie once just had so upset with her dog park or the park in her area. And I remember like Anthony, our district manager, teaching her who's our parks commissioner in the Bronx and like demanding that she comes to the park. And she did a tour with the lady and was like, look at all the issues with my park. And she wasn't really satisfied with like the solution, but there was a solution and there was an elected official she spoke to that painted, did something to the bench or whatever, you know what I mean? And so I think that is really empowering that you're going to the right person, because sometimes people complain to the wrong person, and in trying to make sure everyone is fully educated on who that is and that we can be the bridge to that. Okay, so now we're going to our ever growing April 19th event. So we had a meeting in between the last meeting. I did respond to an email that said that there were no updates. Do we have any updates, Stephen? Let's start with board updates.
From my understanding, I don't have any updates. I know that Mr. Jordan spoke to a couple people, so I just don't know what those updates are because I've been in and out of the office. But I can definitely have the district manager update that at the email chain, and that way we're all informed and the committee's informed.
He did send an email. Yeah, I just want to put on the record. He did send an email on March 18th saying, as a general follow-up regarding the immigrations event, we have not been able to confirm space with audio resources for free until likely April 2026, in addition to MOIA or MOIA or free translation services until April 2026.
So I feel like, but here's the problem I'm having. Oh, wow. Okay. I think I understood the event was going to happen in April. And then
16th, yeah.
what did Durga reply? Didn't Durga send another reply?
I think he was just looking forward to the event and just making sure what day it was. I think that
was what Durga.
Yeah, just to include Fabiola, and emails for her experience and expertise. So pretty much just added someone else.
Yeah, to add someone else, and then
Yeah.
obviously following up like, hey, just looking forward to this event whenever it's slated.
And then Amanda, so Durga is Hands Off New York. Bronx person for Hands Off New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Amanda explained to me that I see Bronx person is on medical leave, so the email we're emailing is probably going to the ether.
So I guess we find another contact.
We can find another contact, right?
Yeah.
Carly?
I'm connected with them because they're doing something at the FEC next week, Friday.
Okay, so tell them what email we should do and we can add them on the. We have a date April 16th. So we have a date April 16th. We don't have a venue.
Okay, so on April 16th, we are going to reserve that day for the Know Your Rights training. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That is the date we're playing with. The date we need to work out. Our district manager is supposed to find us a venue, and then the agency we desperately want to is MOA because that's when we get the free translation.
So I know I can update that he's had active conversations with Hostos, so that's
Okay.
I think there was a positive outcome to that. I just think I just don't have the exact information, so I don't want to
Say it out loud, yeah, preemptively. So we have potentially Hostos. I know RG, you were very, very, very excited about Hostos, and that was our first choice.
Well, yeah, because Hostess actually has a large population of immigrants
Yeah.
that I think would participate. I'm trying, there is too much anxiety going on among immigration people. And especially if we approach them from we're a governmental office. See what I'm saying? I mean, and so what we're trying to do here is to try to get into an avenue that where most of them are at, and I'm sure that many of them would automatically just pass by and even come on in. We're trying to get that kind of invitation going.
Go ahead, Stephen.
So I just wanted to just real quick confirm, how many, what is the committee's goal in terms of attendance? Like, what number are we?
So we didn't want to be too picky because we knew we didn't want to limit our options. So maybe 30, but like if the room is bigger or whatever.
Because I'm sorry, Hostos has several different options and those scale in size. So that's what we forgot to bring that to the committee to ask, like more or less what numbers they play with, so that way it'll give us.
We want a room that is available April 16th.
Okay.
And if there's 3 rooms that is available April 16th, then we will choose.
Right.
But don't go looking for us. Tell us, hey, there's 1 room and it can fit 50 people, then that's all we got. That's where we at. There's 2 rooms and we have choice. But right now we don't have a room on April 16th. So I can get 1 room on April 16th. That is good for the audio and MOA and things of that nature. And then we try our best to fill that room and make sure we don't max out that room because we're going to have a virtual option. We talked about this with the manager previously that we're scared that people are not going to show up for reasons. RG says maybe people will pass by and they'll jump. Whatever the purpose is, we just want to get a room and be like, hey, I want to do with this room. And then we say yes or no. I know Amanda offered the FEC also. If we can't find no room, but the sooner we get a room, we get a flyer, we can, start recruiting, blah, 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 blah.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
And I'm not sure if I asked this question last meeting. This is a community board priority. Actually, I'm going to rephrase. With a bunch of other trainings happening around, why is the Know Your Rights training a community board priority?
So this is a very interesting question. So whenever we need like legal stuff, I used to go to Bronx Defender first, right? Even though I'm legal aid, it's just legal Defender. And so I would always go to Bronx Defender. Bronx Defender thinks that community board, this is what their outreach teams in. We tap into an audience that other people don't tap into.
Gotcha.
So you probably know in FEC, you have the same people come to your stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same community you're able to tap in and reel in. And I think other organizations feel that the community board is able to reel in a wider audience, right? And attract a wider group of people. So they like to partner with us because we have been tapped and integrated to communities for as long as the community boards have existed. You know what I mean? And so I have found that people would love to work with us because we're able to attract a lot of people. And so we have a deeper reach and a more diverse reach. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it is not something we want to carry by ourselves at all, but it is something that people think that we can diversify the group because often nonprofits feel like they end up preaching to the same group of people, and we can diversify a room in a way. Like sometimes I go to meet, I'm like, I've never seen this person before either, right? Like we can. Different crowds attract a community board because it's something that is institutionalized in the New York City neighborhoods.
Well, my understanding also is that I have done Know Your Rights training at the Bronx Defenders, and I think they're great. Okay, my understanding was that we were looking for a place that's in our district.
Mm-hmm.
They're neighbors. I think that would be already.
Technically too, but I've called
board number 3. I think is already that area.
But I would have called them.
Yeah, although they're our neighbors, and I'm sure they'll probably partner with us, and we could always network with them. But I think we were looking for a place. The only other place I could think of offhand, I don't know the why. Well, but we would have to pay for that, right?
Yeah, we pay for the why when we do the why.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to be clear. Bronx Defenders venue. You guys, my whole team is very concerned about this case I have. Bronx Defender venue is not at all concerning to me. and their staff, if we wanted to, we could add their staff to the flyer. You know what I mean? But people like us to lead things only because our reach. But I don't mind hosting, because I don't even think Hostos is technically Community Board 1, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
But that's our
It's
district.
one of those things that where, depending on what side of the 149 is our district, so left-hand side is our district, right?
Oh, okay, it's not our district. Okay, so
Wait, I didn't know that. The left-hand side is not our
No,
district?
left-hand side is our district, right-hand side, if you're going towards Harlem,
Yeah.
on 149, left side is Community Board 1, right side is Community Board 4.
where's 2?
Wait.
Two
So
is
that,
going towards Hunts-
Hunts Point.
so that means that, I thought that whole Bronx Terminal Market, isn't that part of Community Board? Isn't that part of our
No.
district? That's already going to Community Board 4.
Mhm.
You know, thank you, I learned something
So
new
think
today.
of the side where the
Oh,
post office
okay.
is, anywhere from the
Oh.
post office side going that way,
Oh.
east of Grand Concourse, that's all Community.
I see. Thank you for explaining that. I learned something new today. Thank you.
And
Okay.
so that's
I didn't
great.
know that.
So I share that because, so that's why people like when we host things.
Okay.
Even if it's us hosting by name only, they just feel like, it's one thing when we tell people, hey, you should go to this event. It's different when we do the event.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just, I don't know where you guys find it.
I was just trying to understand the priority, but I understand.
Yeah. In a wider reach. And then, so that's how it happened. And that is why we,
May I ask
Go ahead.
also, have we thought also about, now I know the Mexican Coalition.
I think
Okay.
once we have a location, then we can, because I'm gonna reach out to people, we can start trying to then like get a very diverse group of people in that room.
I just need the location.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
I'm
did,
trying to think
yeah.
of possible locations.
But we did do
could,
that at Rainbow Garden. You
Did
know,
anybody ever ask Clarissa for Dream?
no, I can text her right now.
I asked the Tances,
Community Center.
community center. They're only available after 6, but they didn't confirm the day. We would have to fill out a form. So I'm guessing that's something Steven or anything might have to do.
Now, we should ask,
But yeah, once I receive it, I'll forward it over to everyone. So
Batanzas
Yeah.
is a good place, but for some reason or the other, it's easy to get lost when you go around there,
Mhm.
looking for their
Yeah.
community center.
It is.
And also, it's very like isolated kind of,
Mhm.
but that could be sort of like a last
it
ditch.
kind of is in the backwoods of town.
Isn't it right across the park?
It is.
But 6:00, and the 6:00 is not dark no more. I used to go to
it's
Friends at
still
St. Mary's
light.
Park.
It's still light, but
Yeah.
we might as well go to St. Mary's Park instead of Batanzas. But the weather, we don't know what the weather would be nice to talk about.
So okay, so we have good chances as that. Oh, I'm texting Clarissa. I already got distracted. Okay. Clarissa. We wanted.
Are there any like community centers in our area? I'm sure there are.
The door.
Are there-
The door is right there.
They have a community room?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they do.
I did not know that.
I've been there, but I haven't seen the community.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we wanted to.
I once went to a meeting in their
could
community room with the Bronx
use
offenders.
the-
that The Bronx offenders was hosting.
The block,
And
right?
then- Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We wanted to know if we could use
That's
the
it.
Dream
Good
Center
idea. That might be
for.
And it's big.
We could use
Yeah.
we wanted to know if we could use the Dream Center for a.
Well, again, Dream would be good, but they're so all the way over there in the backwoods of
Bruckner. Yeah.
Bruckner that I wonder who's
There's a
going to take
Mexican
a
place I
bus
like
and go
right
over
now.
there. There's a what?
Mexican place I like that. For an immigration know your rights.
A Mexican
Food
place?
shop.
Forum.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Mexican Coalition, right?
No.
On 151st Street? No, they're the organization and they're very active with immigrants.
Yeah.
Oh, she said she likes a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, there's a Mexican
I think she's
restaurant
talking to
next to the
herself.
street.
I think she's talking to herself. Yeah.
Because when you said it's in the backwood, I'm like, it kind of is, but then I get to go to this Mexican place.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Well, now you're talking about getting.
There's some good
a-
eats around there for sure.
You
Oh
gotta
my
get all
God,
of
it's very good. It's on there. Okay, all right, I just text Clarissa for sure. So we just named, just to be clear for the record, we did Batanza Center. I'm gonna, you're gonna get the form and forward it to them. The door, we didn't even know that was a place. Shout out to the block. Like, you know, they'll
We
be
have contact, so I can reach out to them.
perfect. And then I just text Clarissa. Okay, so I feel like that is everything. last month we talked about something. Now I can't remember. We wanted to do a co-meeting with someone. Was it housing? But I don't remember why I wanted to do something with housing. I don't know. But long story short, I think to summarize our meeting before I open the floor for anything in adjournment is we've asked the district manager who is in here, but for the record, and Stephen, to continuously invite legislative directors for all of our elected officials to come to our meetings. Number 2, we also wanted to have warm invites to our NYCHA TA presidents, whether they're available to go to the housing committee or want to come to our committee about policy. And then always the full board, just like you said, for accessibility so people can see them. We can start building more relationship and rapport. Mitchell has a new TA. Amanda has his number. We also want to be very proactive. The interns can create a list of all of our elected officials and the committees they sit on. And so when we talk about issues, we can talk about issues in context of community, our elected officials and their committee members, the committees they sit in. Also, when they come back, we want to think about old letters we've written in support and see where the status is, and to make sure they resurface. Then last thing we talked about was immigration issues. We talked about that already. And then that's all the meeting conversations we had. And then on email, we'll get an update about Hostos because we think there's some conversation updates there. But then we offer 3 other locations, Betanzas, Door, and I emailed Dream. And then from there, once we have venue and a location, then we'll start emailing partners like Mexican Coalition and any other partners we want to think about. Any other topics, issues, what we discussed, or other ideas?
So what if we can't get a date for the April 16th? What if we can't get a venue for that date?
Oh my God, I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen, but just to put that out there just in case.
If we don't have a date, then we're gonna just proffer the May meeting. But this is what happens so much. This is the bane to my existence on CB meeting. Is I love when we set a goal and achieve a goal. We want to set realistic goals because sometimes we have a bad habit of setting too many goals and nothing getting done. But I feel like we have one goal and we have not yet done that yet successfully. And so we want to offer the date. And I think maybe what we do is if we have to use the May date, which is already set, obviously, we think about how do we be beneficial with our April date for maybe meeting our TA presidents or doing a co-meeting with housing. Because I want us to always look back, because June's our last meeting, on what did we do this year on the community board? What did we achieve? What did we say tangibly we got this done, Or we met this people, and tangibly an accomplishment could just be we met with all the NYCHA TA president and we came up and we did a collaboration with housing and policy for the TA meetings and came up with a NYCHA policy. So we can be proactive, so we don't not only talk about explosion to explosion, but we have that would be a success. If we have 2 goals, a NYCHA policy initiative, right, for city, state, and federal, and this Know Your Rights immigration training, I would be we had 2 goals. And then we met people along the way. When I met people, meaning legislative directors, that would be a goal. But I like when we are oriented around a goal because then we feel accountable to achieving that goal, because you'd be surprised how we go from meeting to meeting, talking about the same thing and doing that thing.
Okay, I like that. How do we feel about potentially, instead of one bigger event, 2 smaller events?
Yeah,
and we have them here.
That's true. Maybe we say, hey, April 16th at a venue's not going to happen. That's going to slow us down. We have something right here. We know we have technology. And if Mo is waiting for us to have a venue, then I agree with you. Mm-hmm. So so your question was, what happens if you don't have April 16th venue? Then we have it right here.
Yeah.
So then, following up on that, what would be the hard cap date for us to be call it? We don't.
Okay, these are really good questions.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks, yeah.
So let's just do April 1st.
Or what that Friday is, the first Friday of April would be April 3rd?
Okay.
Yeah.
April 3rd. Amanda's really good at this. Schedule an email. Put it on schedule email. She's so good. April 3rd is Venues, no venue, we're gonna have it here.
Our pivot date.
Our
That could
pivot
be
date.
What
Our
we-
pivot date.
Where the committee decides, like, okay.
So wait, the committee's gonna decide on April 3rd?
Whether, if we don't find a venue by April 3rd, we're gonna use this
This
space.
space, yeah.
Okay. So you expect people to get back to you by April 3rd?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been in the works
Well,
for
I
about
Because we wanna, when
We-
we think about
April
Yeah.
2nd, April 2nd is when we should be getting a response.
Right, I would
April-
say April 2nd, because that's that Easter week.
maximum, yeah.
That's that Easter week when everybody's gonna be busy, who knows, celebrating and everything else. So I would say by April 2nd, give us the people a feedback of whether this space is available or not. So that we could know, and you're right, I would agree with that. Let's do it right here then.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love things that push us along. Okay? And so there you go. So that means our April 16th date is happening. And then therefore, we can now say as a meeting that we would like to have a joint meeting in May with housing. And we would like our NYCHA TA president.
So
Let's
we
send that email, yeah.
So April 16th.
Does Stevens do that?
At what
Yeah.
time?
I don't.
At what time should we be here?
Well, we would come, let's come at 5 to prep our guests, right? Our meetings usually from 6 to 8,
Okay.
but let's get at 5 so everybody can have their things ready and we can be ready to go check
That's
technology.
why we could talk, room layout and stuff like that.
Room layout, food, we're inviting a special population. We want to make sure people bring their kids or whatever, there's food or whatever. And if we have that date, then we can start putting pressure on our elected officials to help us and things of that nature. So I love this idea. Perfect question, Andreas. Perfect pivot, Amanda, to be like, let's get this rolling. And then in May, when's our May meeting?
On this.
Let me see. It's the third, it's always
Third
Thursday, yeah. May 21st.
So May 21st, we want housing to come to us. Stephen, any suggestions? Should we go to housing or housing should come to us?
I mean, I think they can come to us, I think it's a bad idea.
Okay, so
They
then,
recognize the office,
no, I'm talking about housing committee, because we want to have a joint meeting that day.
Oh.
Public housing and policy and legislation.
So
will
it
be
just
one.
depends, because housing is always it depends on what date you want the meeting to be had, either Thursday or Monday, because housing is on a Monday.
You guys, do we have a pivot for a Monday? Is Mondays bad for us?
Monday's bad for me.
So can we ask them if they want to come to my meeting? Okay, because how big is their meeting?
Well, Monday,
They have like 4 or 5 committee members.
Monday, there's another committee meeting, that would be the environmental committee. I don't think, but it's clashing with
Oh.
another committee, I think it is.
No.
For what?
We were talking about Monday
May
housing.
the 18th.
No,
No.
Monday housing is meeting is what? Is it the last
It's
Monday?
the last.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay, sorry, I thought it was something.
Okay, so can you ask them if they're willing to come to our meeting? And then we would want all the NYCHA TA presidents to come too. Okay, when can you get us that answer?
I'll speak to the manager about doing that. Realistically, it could be done by the end of next week.
Okay, so Friday. So, okay,
Like a final answer, not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like initial, like more so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we'll probably send the email out tomorrow or
Yeah.
Monday the latest and then get a.
okay, so that would be good. So then, and that's it. So we can end the year, because we have a meeting on June, right?
June, yeah. So June, if you want to talk about what you want to do for June, we can
That's good.
preemptively start prepping that too, because if I may, my opinion from community boards is that if you're able to, plan out your year a little bit more, it's easier to lock in the later dates because those
Yeah.
time dates are open usually for a lot of other, if you want to invite specific, like
Yeah.
official or
Yeah.
whatever you want to invite to the table, it's a lot easier when you have further dates already.
Yeah, I don't know what, I feel like meeting with them, which is NYCHA and housing, we can decide what we want to build from that, right? I don't know, once I get my committee list and I know where my elected, I don't know if there's a person who represents us who sits on a housing committee or a NYCHA committee. I don't know. I don't know what committees they sit on,
I
but
have an idea.
what?
So I was at the rental ripoff meeting
Yeah,
over here.
oh yeah, I remember.
And you just continue to hear this, like the same conversation around the mayor neglecting NYCHA. Now, I don't believe that that's 100% true. I think that the priorities are going to just look different. But what would it look like for us to have this joint meeting with housing to speak with the NYCHA TA president and ask them, what are your priorities? What's going on? Like, you are the voice, you are the ear and the mouth for your community, and then potentially bring in a rep from the mayor's office.
You mean from NYCHA?
No, a rep from the mayor's office to hear everything that we've heard from our NYCHA TAs.
Yeah, but when you say from the mayor's office, which one? You see what I mean? They have like.
I think a good person to speak to would be somebody from their public engagement unit, somebody from their new unit, OME.
Okay, so that's perfect. Now that you give us that, they have a director of OME.
Mm-hmm.
Did they announce her or him?
I believe so. I think there was a meeting had last week.
Okay, this is very easy. So if you give us a unit.
The director for OME, like the interagency director, or which director?
The Bronx director of Office of Mass Engagement.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
perfect.
I know that person's hired because I know someone who just interviewed for the manager position. And so I know a person who interviewed for the manager position today, and they said in the panel that the director was announced, but like they already hired the director and they're very excited about that person.
Awesome.
But I don't know who the person is. And so I think it'd be 100% good that we invite, at least for sure, director of OME. You don't want NYCHA to meet it?
I think like a NYCHA higher up, like a rep from NYCHA? No, absolutely not. We can have a TA president.
Okay. So we'll get the TA president and director of OME. That's easy. The Bronx director of OME.
So,
I know we can get that.
So we can get the CB1 president.
Yeah.
The Bronx director of OME.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that. So we, on our May meeting, which we don't know if it's good, which we wanted to be on our May Thursday meeting with housing and public housing supporting, we will you're going to tell us by Friday if that's going to be okay for the May meeting. And then we know what day we are inviting our NYCHA TA president and the Bronx director of OME.
Sure.
And then that will be a good start. Danny said he want to cut somebody out, so Danny might be at that meeting. That meeting with I was not at the actual hearing, but I was at that rally before the hearing. And you guys, there's 500,000 people minimum living in NYCHA. That lady said, we are a city. Tell the mayor, tell the mayor, don't play with us. We are a city. I agree with Amanda. I think there's a complete misunderstanding on what's going on, but we want to make space for people. And the goal is, if you would ask us what the takeaway goals from that meeting is, that we as a community board know how we can help amplify and advocate for public housing for our community members who live there, and for them to also know if there's a miscommunication, how do we better, communicate what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I also think if there's a miscommunication, then we're not properly telling them how to best advocate, for assistance and help. And there was another woman at the rally who says it shouldn't only be NYCHA residents fighting for NYCHA. And I thought that was a very powerful statement. You know what I mean? I need NYCHA to exist and be safe for all my neighbors in order for all of us to be safe and have housing. Okay, so I like that idea. We have a plan for April. I'm so happy. That's the best part of the meeting today, that we solidified April 16th. Because I hate when things get kicked in the can. The can just gets kicked. And then I like the idea we have for May. And Steven's going to email us on Friday to make sure that public housing, the housing committee and our committee can meet in the May Thursday meeting. Okay? And then we can talk about who we're inviting, OME and NYCHA TA presidents. So I'm just going to make all my list of motions and then we're going to adjourn. Okay? So I think I need to make a motion. I already made a motion for the immigration stuff. So I just need to make a motion that, what is it, May what? Is our Thursday meeting?
May 21st.
May 21st.
Okay. I will make a motion for the policy and legislation committee meeting to be a joint meeting with the housing committee, and that our NYCHA TA presidents in the community board district all be invited, including OME. the Bronx Director of Office of Mass Engagement for the mayor's office. Can someone just make the motion. Someone has to make the motion first. Sorry.
I,
Amanda, make the motion to have a joint NYCHA meeting.
make the motion to have a joint NYCHA meeting, including OME.
Thanks. Great. Okay.
Okay, Argelia, second it.
Anybody opposed? All in support?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Oh, I forgot. And then, was there any discussion on the motion? I forgot.
No.
None. Okay. All right. That's the only thing I need to make a motion for. Oh, okay. Can somebody make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll just magically make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
Okay, Argelia Ortiz, second it.
The meeting is adjourned.
Any
This is so
abstentions? No abstentions.
No, yeah, no abstention.
I don't think anybody's gonna abstain that one.
No.
Very productive, you guys. Again,
Sheesh.
I want to always
I feel
say,
like I've been in this office a few times this week.
sweet girl.
After a while,
That is
the
the truth.
office, is the camera off already?
I'm turning it off right now.
Oh,
Give me
wait, he's
one
turning it
second.
off now.
What kind of jacket is that?
It's cute.
Super dry.